Hey everyone, Bryan from IDC here. We just put out our China smartphone figures for first quarter 2022, and the market was down 14.2% year on year. Again, that's the January to March quarter. It's a little softer than what we were expecting. Our previous forecast was for a negative 13.7% contraction, so the market was a little worse than what we had expected. Now, there's a few things to keep in mind with all that. First off, we had a very high comparison base to the same period 1 year ago, but also more importantly, the China market as a whole has just been soft for a number of quarters now. Just that consumer demand isn't there. Consumers really aren't very driven to, or they haven't been driven to upgrade to the newest models that vendors have been rolling out. The sentiment just really isn't quite there. And that actually got even worse, of course, as we went into the tail end of the quarter as COVID started to hit, or rather more lockdowns came into place. Now, granted, that was only in a couple of cities, but it affected sentiment nationally. And it got even worse, of course, going into April, which is the current quarter that we're in. So those are the things to keep in mind about that. In terms of vendor rankings, we had Oppo move into the #1 spot, pushing Apple down to #4. Not so much a surprise on Apple. I mean, it's more of a function of seasonality. Apple, of course, launches their new products in the fourth quarter of every year. That's when all their new iPhones come out, right? And so it's not that much of a surprise to see Apple coming down in the first quarter. But what we did see was a bit of a shift in the mix for Apple, where the higher end Pro line took less of a position in the mix in favor of the more normal iPhone 13 line, if you will. Oppo did well because of a number of their products. They launched the Reno 7, the A series, and despite what I said earlier about the lack of interest in products, well, there was actually one product that got people pretty excited, which was the Oppo Find N, the foldable product. Now, again, those volumes are pretty small. It doesn't really make that big of an impact in unit terms. But what it did was it started to change the consumer perception of Oppo, more so that, wow, look, these guys are an innovator and we want to get our hands on these products. So it actually helped Oppo work with more of their online channels who basically wanted to carry more Oppo products. So that did well for Oppo. Looking forward, there obviously are a number of risks, coming back to COVID, of course, and the lockdowns. That's all that continues to be probably the biggest issue that we're worried about right now. With factories closing down, or at least even with some of the factories in the closed loop system, the bigger issue is more about logistics and transportation, right? Truck drivers, not just about being able to bring the products out of the factories, but even just getting raw components into the factories. If these lockdowns continue to persist, that'll be a increasing problem. But also, again, these lockdowns are a drag on overall consumer sentiment around the country, regardless if folks are in a lockdown city or not. And that continues to be a headwind as well, too, that we're watching out for. So let us know if you've got any questions, and stay tuned because we've, of course, got more things coming out in the upcoming month as we're refreshing our forecast. Thanks.